Hello, and welcome to Why I Love Warhammer, this series where I go into an unscripted ramble about why I love something in this hobby. And we're going to revisit, we're revisiting my very first video I did for this channel, and just overall just going to go back through some of the old videos I've done and just cover some of the stuff I missed. So, going to cover Necrons, because Necrons are my absolute favourite faction in 40k. They weren't my first, that was the Night Lords Chaos Space Marines back in 2006. They're not the ones I take to a tournament, that's my Chaos Knights. Necrons are the ones I love the most. I love the robot skeleton aesthetic. I like the ancient Egyptian vibe they got going on, potentially a bit more than the vague Terminator T-1000 look they used to have back when they were, I'm going to open this new tab, Chaos Androids, right? So, if you don't know, the original Necrons were referred to as Chaos Androids. They look like this. And that's undeniably cool in its own way, but it's not the Necrons that I grew to love. When I got back into the hobby in 8th edition, because I've been interested in the hobby, I was collecting it since 2006 with the I now know as the Chaos Space Marines 3.5 Codex, but so I've been into it since then. But I got back into kind of collecting and hobbying hardcore in 8th edition when a friend of mine decided pitched it to me, started to start a small gaming group with him and a few of his school friends. I went for Necrons, and I absolutely adore them. I now have about 13, maybe 14,000 points of Necrons. That's 14000. And I have... Now, I used to say I have at least one of every kit that GW sold. That's not quite true anymore, and I'll explain why. What I have is every kit that isn't Forge World. So if you look down the page, what I don't own are the Seraptech Heavy Constructs, the Tesseract Arc, the Tomb Sentinel, Tomb Stalker, and Icanthrites. In my view, I still think of those as Forge World, and I say I own every non-Forge World kit. It's interesting that they still sell Anrika the Traveller, because he's not in the current codex. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself because Necrons are absolutely amazing. They've got really cool lore. They were, the height of their empire was about when dinosaurs were going to go extinct in our world, and they went to sleep for many thousands of years under the orders of Caesaric, the Silent King. And at the time we are at, in the 41st millennium, they are coming back. The Silent King's back now, and they're a bit more unified, and they are doing their thing, and they're gonna, they want to take over the galaxy again. If you want Necron lore that isn't just the Codex, and isn't just people like me or better channels than me talking at you online about the lore, they've got, I say 2 books because I count both, but it's 3 purchases. You've got the Twice Dead King duology, which is really good, and it has factors in a really interesting part about Necron lore. But the Infinite and the Divine, there is a reason that every Warhammer YouTuber who has read the Infinite and the Divine tells you to read the Infinite and the Divine, and that's because it's amazing. It is honestly the book that I would recommend to non-Warhammer fans. If you've got a non-Warhammer fan who's interested and wants to learn a bit more, and they are inclined to read a large fiction book, go the Infinite and the Divine. The only thing I say with the Infinite and the Divine is don't do the audiobook for it. I'm a huge fan of audiobooks generally for the classics. That's how I did that's how I read The Lord of the Rings. That's how I read the Silmarillion. Audiobooks. I'm a huge proponent of audiobooks. But the narrator for the Infinite and the Divine is very slow, and it's a funny book. But if you tell a joke, timing is a significant part of that. But the narrator doesn't have that timing. so you lose a lot of the humour. But it's still an amazing book and a brilliant story with Oricon the Diviner, who I named a D&D character after. And also, where did he go? This boy. The audiobook taught me to pronounce it Trazin the Infinite. He slightly rolled the R, and the A is pronounced A. I used to say Trazin the Infinite, but Trazin. Trazin the Infinite. And in a 40k movie, I want to play Trazin the Infinite. He gets memed a bit because he is a collector of long-last artifacts, so he gets kind of lumped in as this kind of Pokemon trainer type thing in some of the memes. But he's just generally quite a cool character. He has his own dynasty. He's got interesting rules where he can like shapeshift into other Necron Noble units if he's slain, which makes for really interesting list builds. But overall, I just think they're really cool. So Anarcho the Traveller has an amazing story in the 10th edition Codex, which just shows just how cool he is. He goes to a tomb world and says, "Hey, I need some soldiers," and they say no, and then he destroys a load of things, and just says, "Do you want me to repeat the question?" It's glorious. The Nemesaur Zandrek, who still thinks that Necrons are the Necron tier from before biotransference that turned them into these robot skeletons, still takes prisoners, deeply honourable. His sidekick and caretaker Vargard Oberon, glorious combo. I love the Satan shards. I think they're really cool. Back in fourth ed, these were the towering things on the tabletop, and they've shrunk in comparison because the sculpt is the same as it ever was, but they just don't look as big in comparison. My Satan shard of the Deceiver actually used. I painted the horns green because I just wasn't good at painting gold. But yeah, just generally, I think they're just really... Everything about Necrons, I think, is really cool. So Illuminor Caesarus had a Warhammer Plus series where he was the central antagonist, and he was really awesome. Just kind of leeching off the just like this grand coordinator. I say leeching as I was looking at this thing where he's kind of taking this fluid. I always think of it as blood from the dude, but I just think everything about Necrons is really cool. I love the aesthetic. Also, the weaponry, right? All the weaponry has the most awesome names. It's stuff... So, the Canoptic Doomstalker, the Destroyers, the Gorse Blasters, and the Gorse Flayers. Now, if you're like me, if you're anything like me, then there are things that you think are amazing and brilliant in the context of a tabletop miniatures game that purely because it skeeves you out so much to think about the reality of it, right? It's a grimdark game. It should be a grimdark setting. And the idea of a gun that peels your skin off atom by atom is so deeply horrifying to me personally as a concept that I adore it in my models. I think that it's, again, the flayed ones, that's really cool. They're so desperate to have flesh again, they peel the skins off their enemies and wear them. It's a disease that they are maddened with. In the 9th edition Codex, they are basically like left on planets. It's like you've served your purpose, now we're going to disassociate. That, I think, is particularly interesting as well. I like that remnant of culture they've got. The Kill Team Heretic Circle is an interesting one, because this kind of crypto thrall and the two specific Canoptex constructs don't have datasheets in the 10th edition Codex. They exist as their own kill team. They are separate to the others. Which I think is... I just think that's kind of weird. It separates them from kill team. It separates the kill team from the rest of Necrons. Personally, I don't think they should be sold under Warhammer 40,000 Xenos Army as Necrons. They should be sold under kill team, but I'm not here to judge for that. But yeah, just everything on Necrons I just think is really cool. The weaponry is awesome. Okay, so I'm just darting about the page, right? So the monolith has, yeah, so the Night Scythe and Doom Scythe have weapons that are called like Doom Rays and Doom Beams. Everything is just has the most metal names ever. Yeah, Gauntlet of Conflagration is another cool name for stuff that Necrons have. Tesseract Vault have a huge, have your god contained within your piece of thing of great power. The Obelisk and Transcendent Catan, they are, again, I've actually got Obelisk with Transcendent Catan and a separate Tesseract Vault because I just think they're both too glorious to confine myself to just one. I actually had these two along with my 3 Nightside Doom Scythes commission painted because I just didn't trust my own painting ability to do them justice. But they're glorious models, and this thing is so much bigger than you think. You think, you look on the website, you think it's going to be about the same size as the monolith, but I can't store my Tesseract Vault in a complete shelf of a display cabinet because it's just too big. It's such a cool sculpt, such a cool model, and I wish I could play it in more situations. Transcendent Catan, the 10th edition codex, actually kind of endorsed proxying them for other GW models as long as it's not confusing as to what those models are. So that's something I think is really, that's nice of Games Workshop to have, to say, look, it's £105 for basically this model because no one plays the Obelisk other than me. So allowing some degree of proxying for that I think is nice. And just, there are a few things about the Necrons I can even think to criticise. Canoptek Wraiths are really cool. I like having, for me, I've got two sets of Canoptek Wraiths. I have one from each box, kind of, that's lying down with the tail coils up, and I think it makes them look really cool and Scorpion-like. The only thing I do is when I'm playing a game, that's the model that gets removed first because I don't want to be modelling for advantage. And then also, it's helpful to put a 2p piece at the base, under the base of each of those, so they don't topple over as much. Tomb Blades are neat, but I only own them because I wanted to, because I was so close to owning at least one of everything from the Codex that I ended up that it felt weird to not own them. I'm not actually a huge fan of how they operate. The Canoptek Doomstalker I own two, would happily own a third. I think they're really cool. I love the sculpt. I love what they do, and honestly, I love the faces. I think that's something that. So, okay, I know that what I'm about to say doesn't sound like grimdark to anyone, but I honestly think the faces of these Canoptek constructs is weirdly cute, and that's not why I love them. I love them because they're awesome robot skeletons with great lore, but where there's cuteness to be found, I'm going to point out the cuteness. There's so much about that. They've got a really cool. I like the class system they've got going on. I had an interesting strategy at one point, which I never got to try out, of using the Convergence of Dominion to just own an objective and just prevent my opponent from getting onto it. I never got to try it out, but I've always been curious if it would work. The Shard of the Void Dragon, I did a slight kit bash on, where I took the head of an Age of Sigmar Saurus warrior and put it on because I just didn't think it looked quite dragony enough for me. If they were never going to release this model, I'd actually convert Lord of the Rings Balrog to be a Catan Shard of the Void Dragon, or an Age of Sigmar dragon. But yeah, so instead of having that head, or the anchor, I just put a dragon head on it. Sorry, lizard man head on it. I think that I can keep going on for ages just saying, oh my god, how cool is this? Like, the Ophidian Destroyers look a lot more like the classic Necron Wraiths but not the Canoptek ones. The classic Necron Wraiths. So yeah, Dawn of War Dark Crusade, where I was greatly enjoying, I still own that, I still play a skirmish every now and then. This is what the Wraiths looked like. They got discontinued and got made into Canoptek constructs. So I love Ophidian Destroyers for bringing back those old Wraiths. If they could just bring back the Necron Pariahs, there should be a lore-friendly way of bringing them back. Because I love them. I think, especially now that Psychic is so much bigger, I think that Pariahs will have a place again. Maybe 11th or 12th edition will get Pariahs back. Maybe there's some construct of Illuminor Caesaras. I still want to get the cowboy hat for my Hexmark Destroyer, because they had a really cool release trailer for him, where had really cool Western music. But I know I've just never got around to giving him the cowboy hat he deserves. But yeah, it's just Necrons. I just think they're really cool, and they're my favourite army in 40k. And it's just hard not to love them. I love the teleportation shenanigans you can do with the Veil of Darkness edition, reanimation protocols. As much as I think they've been nerfed, aesthetically, when you visualise the battlefield, all of these robot skeletons coming back to life is such a cool image that I can't not respect it. And to this day, they're still my favourite army in this game. And I'm a sucker for them. Anytime they announce a new Necron unit, I'll be saving up my money to obtain that Necron unit. And they've got time travelers, right? Chronomancers see through time. That's amazing. That's brilliant. I painted mine up so that orb looked a bit like the planet Earth, but I didn't leave enough space for the Arctic. I made sure to put New Zealand on, but I just didn't leave enough space for the Arctic, which was... People thought it was satire. It wasn't. It was just idiocy. But yeah, I absolutely adore the Necrons, no matter what the rules make them look. No matter how the rules make them perform, no matter what they do to reanimation protocols, I adore Necrons. And I'm going to end the video there before I spend half an hour just going, but look at them, they're awesome. But look at them, they're awesome. I'll wrap it up there. Thank you to our channel members. Memberships are open. If you want more positivity in your feed, feel free to hit the like button, and if you want to subscribe for more, I'd really appreciate that too. Links in the description, and I will see you in the next video. Until next time, I hope you're all having a really good day.